As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you. So they came to Jericho, drew near to Elisha, and said to him, Do you know that today the Lord will take your master away and from you? And he answered, Yes, I know. Be silent. Then Elijah said to him, Stay here, for the Lord has sent me to the Jordan. But he said, As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you. So 2 of them went on. 50 men of the company of prophets also went, and stood at some distance from them, as they both were standing by the Jordan. Then Elijah took his mantle, rolled it up, and struck the water. The water was parted to the one side and to the other, until the 2 of them crossed on dry ground. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, Tell me, what may I do for you before I am taken from you? Elisha said, Please, let me inherit a double share of your spirit. He responded, You have asked a hard thing. Yet, if you see me as I am being taken from you, it will be granted you. If not, it will not. As they continued walking and talking, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the 2 of them, and Elijah ascended in a whirlwind into heaven. Elisha kept watching and crying out, Father, Father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen. But when he could no longer see him, he grasped his own clothes and tore them in 2 pieces. Now, folks, this is a favorite topic of mine, but I know that as I read it, you're hearing a storyline. And if I was to go delve deeper into the actual meaning of this, I know in this point in time that you will switch off because you're not able to associate it. You're not able to link it with the teaching, the present day, and I say the present in an inverted commas, day's teaching. But this teaching the Lord gave to me in 2004, 5, 6, 7, and the Lord caused me to write profusely. He would wake me up 2 o'clock in the night, and I would get down on the computer and begin to type for a whole hour. He had me writing over to give humanity the revelation of this chapter. We're in 2018, and can I tell you that as yet humanity is to listen to what I'm saying. And this gives me an inside. It stirs my spirit because we have entered the priesthood now, and the Lord is calling for those to wear their apparel, and humanity is unaware. They don't know that where we are in the schedule of the Lord. Maybe their spirit know, but in this cognitive mind, they don't know that we've entered priesthood. And this reading here is telling us the next stage. Okay? And can I tell you that we should be like Elijah? We should be ready to ascend like Jesus, because this morning we also read, and if I had the time, read about Jesus being transfigured at the mount. And that's exactly where we, all of us, the whole of humanity should be. We should be up on the mount, being ready to transfigure and come into our true bodies, our true divine bodies. And this scares me, because that means there have been a severe setback on humanity. There's a wording that says, many are called and few are chosen. There is another parable that the Lord invited those to come to the wedding, and those who did not have their wedding gowns on, the master was wroth with them. Yeah, it's telling me now that we're coming into a season of wrath. You see, But can I tell you, we are always in the wrath of the Lord. But we come to a point of threshold where we begin to discern right from wrong. And now we go through the experience of being in the judgment of the Lord. So as a prophet, I am prophesying to you that there is going to be a torrid force that's coming upon the earth. And people in high places, I am warning you, this is a word of knowledge and a word of warning, that you are to step down politely from where you are in your high places, because a severe judgment is coming upon the earth. I've had to jump because we're coming on to 12 o'clock and the other church wants to start its service. But I'll go into the hall and I'll talk a little bit more for those who are keen to hear the word of in due season and the word of knowledge. So bear with me, folks, as I transfer. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to the show. This is Joycelyn Linton coming into the higher calling. And folks, I'm just continuing the reading. This is a very important reading, a very, very important prophetic reading. I'm at St. Edmund Church, and it seems like it seems like I'm getting a bit of upset from my church colleagues. They're doing what they can to. I'm getting it really. How can I put it? Here in Hayes, in where I live, it's a multicultural society. Multicultural. It didn't used to be multicultural, but over the years it's become multicultural. And so now the original people who were living here a little bit longer before it became the multicultural are getting they're what's the word? How can I put it? They're becoming quite bossy and cross. I wouldn't say they're cross, but they want to how can I put it to me? They're unknowing. They don't know the relevance of the message right now, and they may think that I'm taking an authoritative role to bring forth this message, and it's as though they want to bring me down a peg or two to remind me that they have the authority. So it's like a supremacy that's taking place, you see. But this is exactly the reading that we had in this morning. We had the first reading, the second reading, the reading from the gospel. And that's what exactly what it's talking about. So I'm going to take the time here to go through all three readings. I won't go into it in its fullness, but I shall just read the scriptures and give a summary of the reading. Okay, so I pray and I ask that, O merciful Lord, our Maker of the earth, the heavens, and the seas, and the fullness, to be in the midst of this conversation. I just really want to pray for what goes on here in the UK. There is a lot of prejudice, of one nation to another nation. A lot of old belief system, a lot of traditional upbringing. And you find that, one nation will think that they have the leadership, the master, the supremacy, and then they frown on another and think that they know better, and they can speak as they feel. And the other now has taken it over the years. But now the Lord is calling and saying, no, don't take it anymore. I'm calling you because through you, the rest of the world will be redeemed. So there's a cross wire going on here, you see. There's a cross wire. So the people, so I get the Caucasian people now, they're shouting at me. Just now their lady went through and she slammed the door. And they're really having telling me off. After all these, this is my 2 years now I've been doing this podcast. But folks, all who's listening to me, I ask you to say a prayer for this prejudice that goes on between nations of people. Because as I said to you, that something has happened here, and I am really concerned. Because we've gone from the prophet to the priesthood, and now the Lord is actually calling, the trumpet is out, that we should come higher. So something is interfering with the frequencies, I want to say. Something's interfering with the transmission. That though the spirit may know, but this mind, this cognitive mind, this thinking brain that we're in, this brain that can easily be conditioned by higher authorities over the generation of time, the span of time, is putting a blockage that people do not know where they are in the schedule, in the promise and the word of the Lord. And this can be dangerous. This can be dangerous because the Lord has shown me in dreams and visions that he said he's going to throw fire upon the earth. He's not going to wait anymore for the people on the earth. He said he sent through his messengers. And if they keep withholding the messengers, the Lord will have to do what he has to do because he has his own schedule to keep. You see. Now fire might sound horrific, but to those who are ready, it just means it's glory. It's the Lord's glory that's come upon the earth. And I say it just means, but that's where we should be. It just means the Lord's glory. It shouldn't come to us as fire. You see? So I am really concerned of what will happen next if we don't come into that realization and awakening. You see? And now the enemy, he's so cross that I am saying this. I'm bringing forth the word of the Lord. And I am saying this aloud, that he's stirring the people. And this is the tactics that he's using. You see, he's causing discernment between nations of people. And he's using the old tactics of prejudice. People prejudging another because of the nation that they come from and what has been said on that nation and the happenings of the different nations. He's using this old tactics. And I say he, and I know many like to give he a name, but I'm not giving he a name. He is just an autonomous, he is just a way of persona, a situation that is adverse to where we should not be. And I really ask that we begin to pray for the two messengers. Revelation talks about two witnessing prophets. The gospel talks about two messengers. The Son of Man, which is the prophet. And we know that to be John the Baptist and then Jesus. One leads prophet into the priesthood. Now today's reading of Elijah is talking about the ascension process. It's talking that we now come into the pure spirit of the Lord. That's what Elijah is about. You see, but he's left Elisha to clear up the crumbs, to do the little bit more tidying up. So I'm going to say that I don't even like to use the word grace because I find when I say the word grace, the day becomes very challenging at me. So I say pardon. We're still in a slim moment of pardon. You see. And when we hear the prophetic words, folks, we use that. We use that to pray. So I'm asking you, folks, to become one with me. And let us pray for the unity of the nations. And the ascension process means that we come into a higher knowledge